In the beautifully illustrated and componented parks, your object is to win the game by scoring the most points by collecting parks, by spending the various resources, completing your own year objectives for 2 or 3 points. This one, 3 parks worth 4 to 5 points, or 5 parks worth 4 to 5 points, and by taking photos at various stops along the way. To do the park objectives, you are going to need to take a park action and spend the required resources. To get these, you are going to move along the trail. Each season, you will move along the trail, so you move along 4 trails, and basically this is the same trail that is extended by 1 at the end of each season. Object actions you can do on the trail range from taking resources, which includes any resources on the trail which are added at the start of the season from this card, and also the season card will give you some extra bonus effects. So this time, if you gain any forest resource on this turn, you also gain a sun resource. During the trail, you may pick up canteens, which also give you bonus actions when you fill them with water, and you may have an opportunity to buy some gear, which gives you another bonus, gear costing a sun resource here. What you will do in your turn is take one of your trail goers and move them anywhere along the trail. Now, you could move them all the way to the end in one go. However, they never move backwards, and you cannot move onto a trail space that is occupied by someone else. So let's say pink puts theirs there, they take the blue water and then 2 sun resources. On their next turn, they can move this one from the start, or they can move this one further up the trail. However, if purple then wants to go on this space, they cannot do it apart from 1 time a year when they must turn over their bonfire to do so. So they can double up and go on a space that's already occupied once a year by exhausting their campfire. So as the game progresses, you have situations like this where you are less and less able to choose the spaces you want to, and the importance of where you go and what you do becomes more clear to you. Spaces give you resources, or here you can get a canteen or take a picture. When you take a picture, you also gain the camera, which lets you take pictures more cheaply and take a bonus picture at the end of the season. Each picture will be worth 1 point at the end of the game, and they're represented by these kind of cool little tokens, tell you how many points they're worth, and also have a little snapshot on them. If you ever are able to get animal tokens, which are all, well, there's a number of designs, I think they're all unique, then these are kind of like wild tokens in terms of gaining the parks at the end. Other trail spots let you take parks actions or buy gear. This one lets you do a 2 for 2 swap of resources, not including animals. The wildlife space lets you swap 1 resource for a wild, and the river lets you spend a water resource to copy a space with another player on, giving you another option other than your bonfire to take the action. Getting to the end first can give you various bonuses, but you have to choose which one to take. You could go here to take the first player marker, which is a pleasingly chunky metal piece. You can reserve a park by paying by taking the card and putting it in front of you but not paying the resources. You can visit a park by paying the resources and then turning that face down so that you know you've bought it. Or you can buy gear, and if you go to one of these spaces you get a discount on that gear. Of course, these little spaces can only be occupied by 1 trail goer at a time. After 4 seasons are done, the game is over, and you will count up your points from your parks, from your endgame year goal cards, and from any pictures that you have taken. The whole game is done really well, with the resources being kept in these game trays that come with lids to keep them all together in the box. The insert is fantastic. The card quality and artwork is top notch. In terms of components and art, this is one of the best games you can buy, period. The park cards themselves are all uniquely illustrated. They never have any powers on, just a case of points for resources for points, but as you can see, they look absolutely gorgeous, with a range of artists having drawn them, and there's information about that and the projects that inspired this game with the included in the box, so you can learn more about that. Canteens and gear give you various upgrades, like being able to spend resources in place of other resources, things costing less, and being able to gain different resources at various spaces. There is a ton of season cards, so you'll have variety in that sense, and the canteens are just like extra actions that you can take to get resources. Some are, I would say, a lot better than others. Being able to reserve a park or get a wild resource is quite powerful. That is essentially it. The game can be played from 1 to 5 players and works well at all player counts, with an adjustment to the trail for lower counts. So that is a brief overview of how to play Parks. Is Parks a good game? Well, the answer is yes and possibly no, depending on what you're looking for. Firstly, component-wise, rulebook-wise, smoothness of play, this is a fantastic experience. The game is simple enough to teach pretty much anyone. All you're doing is moving your person up the track, and most of the actions you can take are straightforward gathering of resources. Sometimes they're a bit more complicated, but not much more complicated, and they all relate to other things you can do in the game. The addition of gear and canteens give you a little bit more depth, and if you're playing with a group who likes to stab each other on the back and screw each other over, then blocking spaces is a very real strategy. However, it can be played just as enjoyably without that kind of strategy if you're playing with a casual gamer who doesn't like that sort of thing. There are viable ways of kind of getting past that and winning still. And that is the key to whether this game is for you or not. If you are looking for a deep, meaty game, then you're probably not going to find that in Parks. Parks is a simple game, it is fun, it is light, it is breezy, but it might not be that satisfying for those regular game players who like to build an engine and like to feel like they've achieved something rather than being first to get to a space. However, as a gateway game for people who don't game very often, it is an almost perfect pie of delicious nature. Work on metaphors, note for later. And because it offers a quick to understand, a quick to play game in a beautiful package, which is not often something you get in gateway games. Therefore, for my wife to play this game, it is perfect. She likes to play it. It gives her enough to think about. I often find when I teach my wife in particular new games that she tends to suffer from analysis paralysis because she's not doing this regularly. She is not thinking about all the types of options you will have. Parks gives her enough options to take her goes quickly and also enjoy it and feel competitive. On the feeling competitive, this is another area where it might fall down for more experienced gamers. Really, the best way to get points is the parks. Yes, you can go after your end goal, but that is only worth 2 or 3 points, and therefore it's better, rather than trying to chase specific parks that will fulfill that goal, it is often better just to visit as many parks as you can and not be too choosy about which ones. 2 or 3 points rarely is the difference between the two players. And in fact, an even better strategy than going after your year-end card is the photographs card. If you can be one of the only players who engages in photographs, you're going to be able to get 2 or 3 options to take photographs each year, which can be up between 9 and 10 points at the end of the game, which is much better than your year-end card. However, I would say it's more important in higher player counts to have those bonus points, but certainly at the lower end, the year-end cards feel a bit unnecessary. These season cards are brilliant and add a little bit of variety and spice to the game, again without being too heavy, and they've cleverly included part of the setup in those season cards. So all in all, Parks is an excellent gateway game that might not provide enough crunch for those people who regularly play games, unless they are also regularly playing with friends and families who don't game a lot. However, in terms of the looks department, it is one of the best games I have seen, with the best use of an insert from the Game Trays brand. That's Parks. I've been Nick from Board Deck and Dice. Thanks for watching me on a Zatu review. Please like and subscribe to Zatu on YouTube, and find us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram for more content, including live videos. See you next time. Is this game called Parks? Does a bear